We've all seen the YouTube videos of truck drivers, usually new guys, in really bad sticky situations, usually Swift trucks. But my very favorite one is the one of the USA truck that noses up to a low bridge, he can't get around it, and he decides to U-turn himself out of the situation. He ends up climbing the embankment on the driver's side, smashing up the hood and the cab of the bunk extender. Meanwhile, the trailer's pivoting on the passenger side and wipes out a retaining wall with the ICC bumper. It's sad to watch. If this poor bastard had been properly trained, he would have known how to get himself safely out of that situation. In this video, we'll talk about 5 common sticky situations drivers find themselves in and how to get out of them safely without doing damage. So, sticky situation number 1, encountering a low bridge. Now, hopefully as you're driving along, you're paying attention to your surroundings and you're looking far enough up ahead of the truck that you see a bridge that may present a problem. So before you clear this intersection, you want to focus on that bridge to make sure it's going to be high enough that you can get underneath. If you cannot get underneath the bridge, take evasive action and turn at the intersection and go a different route. If you cannot see the height of the bridge and you find yourself having to nose up to the bridge and find out that you still can't get underneath it, here you are now pinned because you've had to get too close to the bridge. So now you've got to find an escape route, and you may find that traffic is pulled in behind you in the meantime. So you want to sit here, you've got your flashers on, and you want to get professional help because you're going to need to back up through traffic. Hopefully there'll be a cop nearby. He can move the traffic, but you still want to get out and look yourself to make sure you're clear. Back up slowly and carefully with your flashers on, maintaining visual in both mirrors so you can see everything that's going on around you until you can back up into the intersection, clear and go around. If there's no intersection available, hopefully you've been watching for a parking lot or a mall or something like that where you can make an escape route and a U-turn and get back out of the situation. Another situation drivers find themselves in is they'll miss a no truck sign and find themselves entering a residential zone. Again, 4-way stop is your best friend. You don't want to proceed into the residential zone. You don't know what's down here or down there, so your best bet is to do a 3-point turn at a 4-way intersection and go back out the way you came and then pull over and call the shipper to find out where you've gone wrong. Now be aware that you've got to be mindful of traffic when you're pulling a move like that in a residential section, but generally there's not a whole lot of traffic in a residential section unless you picked school time or something like that. But you're usually best to go back out the way you've come in. Another common sticky situation is trying to make a right-hand turn and you're not going to make it and you're going to get hung up on the curb. And sometimes traffic can get in behind you while you're here. Best recipe out of this, if there's a car here for instance and he's blocking your path, just sit until he moves and then he's out of your way and you can go to the far side of the road and hopefully make the corner. Sometimes you'll have to back up a little, be careful, get out and look, tell this guy your intention, you need just to back up a foot or two, renegotiate, and then make it around the corner. Be mindful of what's on the corner like telephone poles or bus stops or fire hydrants so you don't climb the curb and clip one of those and then just proceed around the corner that way. In the event that you just cannot make the corner, take another alternate route rather than doing damage and then find yourself a place to park and find out your directions from the shipper one more time, because if it's a corner you can't negotiate, chances are the other trucks couldn't either, so you must be going the wrong way. GP Transco is one trucking company that does not need a driver's union. First-year drivers make between $80,000 and $95,000 a year. They're W-2 drivers, they've got full benefits, 401k with a match, they drive top-notch equipment, and they're treated with respect. GP Transco hires owner-operators as well. Check them out at gptransco.com. Another sticky situation that all drivers find themselves in sooner or later is they'll get to a customer's dock and there just isn't enough room to get in there. He's got crap all over the place. Employees' cars parked over here, stacks of skids over here, garbage containers, all sorts of junk. And that's why, number one, when you're going to a strange dock that you've never been to before, you always park on the street and walk in first just to see what you're looking at. Make sure, you're looking for fire hydrants that stick out of the pavement, anything that's going to be in your road. And hopefully there'll be enough room to get in there. And some of them are such crap docks, you may find it easier to actually back in from the driveway entrance off the street. But if you've assessed the situation and you just don't determine that there's enough room to get in there safely without hitting something, walk in and talk to the shipper first. Tell them the problem, tell them there's employees' cars in your road, and you need that extra room. And hopefully he'll have the employees clear up the lot so you can get in there safely. Now, on the chance that you get an ignorant shipper that says, oh, we get trucks in here all the time, and you'll encounter those guys, and those guys don't know a UPS van from a day cab from a truck with a double bunk on it. Doesn't much matter. He's not going to work with you there. So your mistake would be to go in and proceed anyway. Don't do it. Go back out to the truck, call your dispatcher, tell him the problem, and make it their problem, and have your customer rep call their customer and say, you need to fix your parking lot because our truck can't get in. End of the day, simple as that. You don't want the blame. You don't want to proceed into a dock with the potential for doing damage, because you're the one they'll blame if you hit a car or an employee's car or something like that, or damage the truck and the trailer trying to wiggle into this crap hole. You'll be the one to shoulder the blame. Don't accept that responsibility. Have them clean up the parking lot first. If they won't do it, drive away. Sooner or later, all drivers will find themselves in a panic stop situation. It's usually created by a car that slams its brakes in front of you or cuts you off and then slams the brakes. But the thing you've got to remember is that you've got to stay in your lane to protect yourself, protect your liability. Now, this is where a good dash cam comes in handy. It'll show that he caused the panic stop, and that way it gets you out of trouble. If you try to swerve left or try to swerve right to avoid him, sometimes accidents can happen. There can be a car on this side that you clipped that you didn't see because he was in a blind spot, or you can go down in here into the ditch and roll over in the grass. And again, both instances are your fault then, not his. And he'll just drive away. And he's gotten away with it, and he's created a very expensive accident. So in a situation like this, maintain your lane. Maintain your legal position. Have your dash cam recording. It should be on all the time anyway. And just panic stop as hard as you possibly can. Hopefully, you'll be able to stop before you clip the car. Sooner or later, all truck drivers are going to encounter situations like these. Know how to get out of these like a pro, and how not to look like a Swift driver or a USA truck driver on YouTube. When we were putting together this video, it reminded me of a situation I found myself in years ago. One of my first jobs was delivering gasoline to gas stations, and a lot of these gas stations were in residential neighborhoods. And this is before cell phones or GPS or anything like that, and you just kind of wandered into these residential areas looking for these gas stations and hope you'd stumble across them. Well, I'd been cruising around and I couldn't find this gas station. The streets were getting smaller, narrower. I thought, I'm going to get back out the way I came, because I know I had the room, and I'm thinking, I really don't want to have to back up and do a 3-point turnaround here. What can I do? So I'm sitting there contemplating my situation, parked on the side of the street, and I look a few hundred yards up ahead and I can see the tops of football field goalposts. And I thought, football field. Maybe that means school or high school or parking lot or something. So I took a cruise down there. Sure enough, it was a high school football field that I could see. Next to it is a big parking lot for the high school, and as luck would have it, it was summertime out. There were no cars in the parking lot. I was able to do a nice U-turn in the parking lot of the high school and get back out the way that I came. And it just shows you, if you keep your cool and keep your head about you, often you can figure your way out of a situation. That's my story for today. Stay safe, keep your cool, keep the rubber side down, and we'll see you on the back.